Hello folks, boatbrew.com here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I would like to continue my constructed review of Aether Revolt. This time around we will be talking more about what I've touched last time, but now going into more details and talking more about archetype and deck building and how to make a very synergistic deck. Basically, last time I only touched the major things and trends out of Aether Revolt that probably were in everybody's mind. Today I want to go a bit deeper, but still discuss big potentials. So I would really love to see a Dreadnought deck. To make it work, you not only want to play other vehicles, you want to play Colossus, which is another vehicle, a specific one, which will basically make Dreadnought a playable card. And in the same deck you probably want to play this modification, which makes this into a vehicle. I mean, not just a vehicle, but a creature essentially, and also boosted, so it's a 10 power swing. So if you have Dreadnought turn 1, turn 2, let's say you played whatever removal spell or some creature, turn 3 modification, you swing for 10 with first strike. Yeah, and I think you do want some cheap removal in that deck, and it's most likely gonna be just red-white for consistency reasons. A lot of people say that Harlequin is gonna replace Copter in those decks that run it, and maybe enable some Super Friends deck. But I think Harvester is actually gonna be the replacement, basically just because it's crew 1. Okay, it's only 3 power, it costs 3 mana, life link most of the time kinda irrelevant, but as an added bonus you still have something that can be crewed up with the Inspector. 5 toughness means that it can be just killed with Grasp of Darkness. Then also, because it's 3 mana not 2, so they would need to activate Revolt for the Fatal Push, which will be everywhere on all the black decks, pretty much, in aggro, mid-range, control, whatever. It's just too busted, because we still have a twist to evolve in the wild, so it's not going to be that hard to revolt it. And people might just be playing more of the vessels, for example, to activate it, in the green decks at least, and all those sorts of cards. But yeah, Dreadnought deck is kind of a dream of mine, but don't put it into blue-black decks. I think Dreadnought pretty much is gonna be going back hand in hand with Colossus and modification. So you're looking at red-white deck. I don't think you want to play it anywhere else. Karazev, people love it, but I'm kind of not really impressed by it. Compared to Geist of Saint Traft, or what else was it? Goblin Rebel Master, seems kinda underpowered. It's just a 3 power swing if they don't block it. Okay, it's 2 mana, it's 1/3, doesn't die to a shock or things like that. But yeah, not impressed. Probably still not gonna be the least played legendary from that same cycle. But I don't expect to see it a whole lot. People will still play it, but I don't think it's that great of a card. SRAM's expertise is probably much better than the legendary himself. Basically enabling red-white tokens as an archetype, or any kind of black-white or red-white aggro deck. You probably want to play it in red-white because of Restless Bushwhacker. Shock is interesting because not only it's a cheap removal for all sorts of things, it also can go face, unlike Goblin Bombardment, so that's a card that aggro decks will be much more interested in. And also as an added benefit, it's some reaction to break the Saheeli Felder Garden chain, so you can break the combo by just shooting down Saheeli in response. So that's a very big factor, I think. And yeah, because Copter is gone, Planeswalkers are not super safe, but a bit safer. That means that something that can actually finish off planeswalkers is gonna be slightly more valuable. SRAM, basically I feel like it belongs to this red-white Dreadnought deck. I don't think I would play it in another white vehicle deck because you just don't really need it. You're not gonna have that many auras or equipments or vehicles. Here in this wacky Dreadnought deck you have a bunch of vehicles and auras in the form of modification. Also in the same deck you probably want to play Specialist at least in the sideboard. So I would really love to see this deck on a high level, but I'm afraid it's probably just gonna be an FNM kind of deck, but a very sweet one. Moving on, here are some cards that I think are either bound to play or I'd really want to see them play. Basically, Johnny is the one of the probably would see play. First, I wasn't really impressed, but then I realized that it's not just +2, the first ability, but it's all non-land permanent, so it's not just creatures or planeswalkers, so it's everything from the new Oblivion Ring to Green Vassal to whatever you need, to the Oath of Ajani, which is an enchantment, so a bunch of things. Baral, it's very profitable, but I don't think it's gonna be making a very huge impact on standard. But it's definitely a crazy commander card. Probably something that will push people towards mono blue instead of, let's say, blue white in commander formats. The only deck that I see Barrel in standard is probably the blue red's tower deck, the Dynavolt one. There it seems quite okay. There is probably that's a deck that probably will have to play extra number of counter spells in a deck just because of the color restrictions. If it's just blue red, then it will just have to play a lot of counters to replace those white removal spells and stuff like that. And one of the few cards that I really see in Modern, for example, I think it's a pretty sweet card in Modern. Not sure if it belongs to just mid-range, the one without guys, the one with more actual spells. But then again, you will kinda have to play a few more counter spells, so it's probably not even the Restoration Angel build, it's probably the even heavier control one. But then on the other hand, why would you want to play creature in that deck? So it's strange, but the potential is still there. Maybe we're just gonna see that weird mono blue kind of ninja tempo deck, and there we would see it just to have something on board that's actually gonna loot you and make your spells cheaper. So I don't know. We shall see, but I have high hopes about it. Dark Intimations, I don't think it's gonna be a particularly insane card, but I would really love to see it in play, and I would really be disappointed if just nobody at all is gonna be playing it at Grand Prix and at Pro Tour. It's just such a sweet card. Some of the Japanese players probably gonna break it and make it insane. Herald of Anguish, something that I don't think is gonna be absurd in standard. It has kind of more potential in modern, but I think in standard it will probably see more play. But you definitely have to go wide with some tokens, with some small artifacts. But yeah, it's something that some weird affinity deck will definitely want to play. It's just so strong, and if it's unanswered for a couple of turns, they lose a couple of cards, and then you can untap, sacrifice some weird tokens and or whatever that you use to cast it for cheaper, and then clear up some of their threats. It's just an insane card and something that I really hated to see in limited, and I would continue to hate to see it. Let's say against me, and something that would make me feel very guilty when I would play it myself and have something on board, and they would have something on board. It's just a sick card. Marionette Master is probably for those weird affinity decks, some of the heavier types. Something that I would really love to see in action, but probably a bit too sweet, too cute. But with this new set, there are so many possibilities, and it's really hard to guess. You just need to play test or observe some streams, some tournaments, to have a better understanding. Right now, it's really hard to predict without any proper testing, but we shall see. Going to Xavier plus the Paradox Engine, it just feels like there is bound to be some broken combo deck again. Not of the Marvel type, more about actually non-creature spells and just like going off. You don't have Emeralds, so even if you ramp like crazy with the engine and the hearts and so on, I don't know. There's bound to be something. For the engine, there are some artifacts to use mana for. I mean, ramp with, like the Archive, the Caravan, the 2 mana drop. So there are some non-land permanents to untapped, or just mana dorks. Doesn't really have to be artifacts, but that's probably the easiest way. So it could be just some mana dorks. But then again, to actually get value out of this engine, you not just need to ramp, you need to kind of go off and not just get some value, but actually kind of do something like draw half of your deck or draw your whole deck or stuff like this. And Aether is probably gonna help that by basically generating extra turns. If you can tap something to add energy, so that you have kind of consistent source of energy, so then you use this Aether, you get extra turns, and then you can repeat everything again, and you probably need something like Painted Prisms. I mean well, you know what I mean. Sorry for the one that draws your cards when it enters, so you need stuff like this. And yeah, something is bound to happen, I feel like. Trophy Mage is really cute, and it's not just Caravan. You can get the Life Crafter's Bestiary with it, so you get to scry every turn, and you get to draw extra cards when you cast creatures. Let's say extra Trophy Mages that get you another Caravan or something like this. So yeah, I think Trophy Mage is actually playable in Standard, and it can do pretty sweet stuff, in my opinion. You're probably not gonna play very many of them, because the things you're gonna search up with the Trophy Mage is not something really unique or so like impactful, like for a very specific case. So there's no like Piphanil, no engineered explosives, no like Torment Script or Relic of Progenitus, nothing like that, unfortunately, but it's still good. Probably not a card for modern, but all the singleton formats will be very happy. Treasure Keeper is something I also don't think is gonna be likely shown in tournaments, but it's a very sweet card. It's of course not like Bloodbraid Elf or anything, so you don't get to cast the Blightnings and such, but you get to flip, let's say, Trophy Mages, Bestiary, stuff like that. New Oblivion Ring, the new kind of Fiend Hunter creature, stuff like that. So you still get to get value out of it. But then again, it triggers when it dies, not when it enters, otherwise it will be really busted. So you need to have some sacrifice outlets, stuff like that. So, I don't know. The decks where you would be able to sacrifice artifacts They probably don't want this guy, so that's unfortunate. And yeah, how to actually go turbo with casting creatures and bestiary, which you get with the trophy mage. Well, unbridled growth is one thing, so you get to fix your mana, you get to splash a third color, you get to cantrip, you get to trigger revolt. Then the same kind of thing with the Vessel of Nescence, the green one, that can help you find those bestiaries and just more gas. Well, with what kind of creatures you can go? Kind of turbo refiner, kind of elvish visionary on steroids in a way. It's not an elf, but it gets you to energy, which you can use in some way. I'm not sure in what way. It's probably a card more not for revolt decks or this weird kind of creature turbo tempo decks, but it's for the Timor energy decks. Uh, Previously, counter spells and virtuosa were major reasons to use blue in that deck, but I don't know. It maybe Refiner is not a very good reason to have blue, but it's a card that you definitely want to play if you have access to blue in your Timor energy deck. Herbalists, well, um, it's again probably not something for super aggressive decks. Well, I could see it in Timor energy as well, I suppose, because you're probably still gonna play a evolving wilds in that deck. The growth is basically 1 mana cantrip that fixes your colors and stuff like that, but hard to say. It probably will play herbalists in a deck with bestiary where you can just get extra value out of all those crows and vessels and stuff like that. So you basically kind of get a free vessel activation or a free creature the turn that you crack vessel, and then you cast a creature, so you trigger bestiary and stuff like this. So yeah, some deck like that is probably gonna be tested or tried or proved or whatever. Of Vajani, definitely something we would see in the green-white speed-down token stacks, which do really seem like they're gonna happen. Something between green-white planeswalkers tokens of the past seasons slash energy, because I think you have to kind of play Rampager in the deck. I don't know. Well, at least you're gonna play some of those creatures that care about +1/1 counters, but you don't exactly have to, but you would get extra bonuses from that. Metallic Rebuke, it's something that I'm probably not gonna play in any reincarnation of the blue-white flash deck, so it's probably gonna be some kind of affinity-ish sort of deck. So don't put it everywhere, just put it in the decks where you actually have artifacts for 1 and 2 mana, and it's not just Heart of Kirin, it's something else, because otherwise a revolutionary buff will be probably better, even though it only says pay 2, even though it says non-artifact, but 1 mana will be way so crucial, because if you don't have that many artifacts in your deck, then you're probably better off just playing the other any random generic 3 mana counter spells like Spell Shrivel, for example. Constrictor will probably see play. I think black green aggro especially is happy to see that, because you get extra counters on Liliana, with Hulk, with whatever, so etc etc. Kind of feel like somebody will experiment with some counters based deck with both Constrictor and Oath of Ojani and stuff like that in the deck. So there is a chance that it will not just be green-white tokens or whatever, but absent tokens or something. Rampage I told you about. Um, Probably just energy decks. Just don't put it in every generic green aggro deck. So you'd have to play at least that every hop land, and the spell that searches a basic that gets you energy. Then heroic intervention. So it's not just like Selfless Spirit that protects you from damage or from mass removal like Fumigate. It protects from spot removal as well, of course. But things that people don't really understand is that if you don't have a crewed up vehicle, so it's not a creature, and at the end of your turn, opponent decides to kill it with something, you can protect that. You can protect your vehicle. You can protect your Oblivion Ring, for example, so that it doesn't get destroyed and they don't get back their creature. You can protect your Planeswalker. So yeah, the card is just ridiculous, I think. It's in the right deck, in this standard, it's probably even better in many situations, better than Vines of Fastwood, I think. Unless you want to be super aggressive and just want to kill as fast as possible. Hope of Ghirapur, I see it in many decks that in main decks. In such decks that really just want to hit face as fast as possible and kill as fast as possible. That's really weird. It's a sick card, but I think that unless you're fine going slower and going for a grindy game, value resources game, you shouldn't main deck it. It should be in your sideboard. It's a great card that if it resolves, they can't really prevent the effect, because you just sacrifice it. Either way, it's going to stack. You don't need to pay mana or anything, or you don't need to tap it. You just sacrifice it and that's it. They can try to do something in response, but yeah. Well, luckily it doesn't have haste, and you need to actually connect with this thing. So yeah, it's not that scary, but it is scary. If you let this hit you, then your next turn is pretty much messed up. You can't raft the board, you can't cast Planeswalkers, you can't cast your cantrip in enchantments and stuff like this. So yeah, it is scary, but well, if you can't kill a 1/1, so what is your deck about? The fact that it's fine is of course annoying. But yeah, the existence of this card makes Fatal Push so much more relevant, actually. Rishkar, probably the legendary from this cycle that is gonna see most play out of all those 5s of that cycle. Just not only it makes your 2 creatures into mana dorks, it puts counters on them too, so yeah, it's crazy. And also with this guy, all your creatures with counters are mana dorks now, so that's sick. I think the power level is very close to the Magic Origins Nissa the Vast Vizier. It's pretty close. It's probably gonna see as much play as that Nissa when it was in standard. It also makes the now free mana Nissa is very playable again. I found in my pool 1 copy, and I wish I would have found more. And yeah, if you had some, don't get rid of them quickly, because you might actually play them yourself sometime soon, because decks with the free mana Nissa and this guy probably gonna be one of the most effective ones in the coming standard format. Tezzer's Touch, people don't like it, columnists don't like it, a lot of people who write and record about the game don't really like it. It's two colors. It's one more than you would like to, but Caesars was a busted card, and because users probably feel like this is a balanced card that's um, costed well, so that they felt safe to actually print Ornithopter. Yes, people mentioned that we don't have Shrapnel Blast, but I like it. I like it. Of course, I would probably play it in a deck with top Ornithopters. I don't think it's gonna make such a huge impact like the Scissors did back then. But it's a sweet card. It enables interesting decks, interesting archetypes. So yeah, it's. I'm not sure if it will actually be in the Tezzeret stacks and those blue-black affinity decks that everybody's becoming crazy about. Uh, but you can play it even in the mid-range, slow, controlish versions with the Prism. Just cast Prism, draw your card, play the touch, make this Prism available 5/5. Why not? Then if they kill the Prism, you get it back, you get to draw a card again. Just value all around, it seems. Yep. And then it makes those servos tokens into 5/5, so yeah. It's good. It's not that good, but I won't be surprised to see decks with this card at the Grand Prix. And then when you go into new ad hoc type of decks, aristocrats and stuff like this, eating artifacts and not just creatures, eating those servos, triggering your cutthroats and stuff like this, don't forget that there are some hidden gems that can help to make the deck work, put things together, round it all up. So Syndicate Trafficker is a thing. It grows, it gains indestructible. It's a 2-drop without even activation. It's a 2-drop with free power. It helps to crew up things, for example. So yeah, I actually think that, well, sometimes it takes a few months for certain cards to actually be playable. Green Wheel Liberator, well, it's a bit crazy, let's say that. Just one Evolving Wilds, and you have a 2 mana for free. That's kinda dangerous and scary. So just cracking like those 1 green mana enchantments, sacrificing them and so on, and then you have this giant body. It's kinda scary. So those green counters based decks are really making me think that I would have to put certain amounts of removals and construct my curve in such a way that I have to be able to beat starts like this, like let's say turn 1 that enchantment onto the lands, turn to crack it, cast Liberator, stuff like this. So if I'm gonna be playing a black control deck, I'm probably not getting out of home towards my local store without 4 copies of Grasp of Darkness in the deck, it feels like, or a mix of those and Fatal Push. When we're talking about Trophy Mage decks and Bestiary decks, well, we cannot not think about Panharmonicon builds. You can actually go also in the Jeskai combo decks with Guardian and Sahili. You can be less controlish and less really focusing on the combo win with those decks, and you can spice it up with just value from the Cloudbreeze and Panharmonicon. And if you're going that route, but instead of red you're adding green to your deck, then you're probably playing Fairgrounds Warden that you can tutor up with evolution or traverse, dual Vinvolds, and then Ajani and Nilden also fits into that picture if you're going with green over red. So there are ways to go and paths to consider if you're going really on panharmonic and just value instead of combo outs and stuff like that. Then you can probably think of what people have been doing right before bans that month in December. That is Fortnite Seers and Cloud Brazers and stuff like that. Of course, you don't have Reflector Mage, that's a sad thing, but you can maybe think about not just flickering, but also simply get value out of cards when they die, and flip some cantrip and enchantments, and some removals. So you might want to add reshapers to your deck. I think it does make sense, especially if you run evolution in the same deck, for example, so that you can edit and trigger it's that way. So that's a thing you can do. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Probably the next video will be about going deep into actual prototype deck list, of which I have a few already, and I just want to finish up a few more, and then I'll show them all to you and discuss them and describe all nuances in there. So watch out for that, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then.